think we're live, Greg.
Are we? Excellent. Just a quick welcome to country. We're both here in the Gadigal lands at the moment and like to acknowledge all Aboriginal peoples, past and present, and anybody who is actually joining us of Aboriginal descent, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Yeah, we're actually here for a special live episode of Viva Hot Spots. We will be back as normal for our final show of 2023 this coming Monday.
Right.
But we've got some late-breaking T4L news to share as we wind down to the end of the year. Now, Greg, you had technical problems and couldn't join us on our last show, but I also hear you've got some big news to share.
Yeah, I had a funny one there where I lost absolutely every connection to internet, phone, mobile, a little bit like the Optus output. I think they just decided they wanted to get me, and it didn't come on until about 8:30 at night. But the big news is that I will be leaving basically T4L, ITD at the end of the year. The 10 years come to an end.
Well, we are all devastated in the T4L team because for so many years now, you've been doing the background stuff that the team and schools really need, like sorting out the technical aspects of introducing new technology in the classroom. It's not an easy task, especially for tech people that don't understand what the ins and outs are of a classroom and how to get teachers and students to use all of this tech. It requires both a teaching background and a strong technical skill to be able to do it right, and your advice will be sorely missed. But it wouldn't be a Viva Hotspot show if I didn't get to ask you some questions.
True. Let's go. We'll keep the format.
Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you back 21 years ago.
Oh, God, here we go.
To a time when you were the head teacher of TAS and the school computer coordinator also at Pennant Hills High School.
And a number of hats that we all wore about 50 hats.
Yeah. It was long before Viva Engage and Gamma. You and I and hundreds of other people who were school ICT coordinators in schools were doing a lot of communicating on a platform called NSWCC.
That's right, the Computer Coordinator List Server.
Yes. New South Wales Computer Coordinators List Server. And one of the posts that you made on there, I would like to highlight here today.
Stu's library of these little anecdotes that come up are just amazing. Where's it gone? Yeah, there we go. Blow that up a little bit. Yep.
So this is the post that you shared.
I've mentioned a number of times that we were a bit of a cowboy in those days, haven't I?
22 November 2002. Note the time that you sent this message, Greg.
Almost 11 o'clock at night.
10:46 p.m.
We did some stupid hours.
To the New South Wales Computer Coordinator Listserv. Now, what was the subject of this particular message? Let's have a look. Bolt downs. What a joke. Now, this is...
I'd love to know how much more of this thread there was as well, because I can imagine it went on forever.
The subject matter was, for those people that may remember back to a time where there were a lot of computers being stolen in schools, the department made a decision to glue a heavy-duty metal plate to the bottom of every desktop.
About 3 millimetres thick with a weird shape to it, so that it never sat flat.
Had a hole in it, and through that hole you put a special bolt that would drill a hole through the table.
Through the table.
A flange nut would be screwed onto it.
With a padlock, wasn't it?
No, it had a locking screw.
Oh, God,
so you had, and it was a reverse thread screw.
That's right.
So
I remember grinding them all off later on.
You couldn't just unscrew it. So this was the message that Greg sent to the New South Wales.
I would never have sent anything like that.
You wouldn't send it now, would you? But we had to share.
You maybe.
This is something special. So this is what has anyone told DET? This is what we were called back.
Yes.
How ridiculous their bolt downs are. They're not going. Don't worry about the spelling mistakes. It's 11. It's 10:46 at night.
Exactly.
They're not going to stop anyone. Try this. Bolt down a computer. Now take a 6 millimeter rod, about 300 millimeters long, and nicely weighted hammer. You actually had all of the parts that you need to do this particular task. Because I can tell that you actually did this yourself.
Had to
prove the point.
Yep.
Slot the rod into the holes of the conical bit at an angle and give the other end a belt with a hammer. Hit it in the direction that that would spin the conical bit around. And what would happen? The locking screw that is supposed to lock the mechanism simply pulls out of the particle board, which 99% of schools' bench tops are made of. That's great.
Yep.
and a couple more hits and the conical bit spins right off, pick up the computer and walk off. It took me 20 seconds.
Yes.
Well done, Greg. And
there was another way you could do it as well, where you could shear off the glue.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of different ways.
At the bottom of the,
Yeah, under the computer. Other people used to do that with just a scraper or a masonry block.
So your point of this whole message was, why are you wasting our time?
Because it'd take you 30 minutes almost to put these damn things in.
Let alone the vandalising of the desk.
Yeah, and then you stuff your desk up. We spent all this money on these desks you're making us do it. And the other one was a lot of schools ended up putting it on desks that were like examination desks or something. So you just pick the desk up and walk down with it, which happens from what I understand.
You further clarified your point. We have steel grates on all of our rooms, which is dreary enough to work in. And now we have to waste our time, or our GAs putting these stupid lockdowns on. I, for one, can't see the point and intend to protest loudly. This is Greig Tardiani, 21 years ago. Thank you, Greg. That is one for the memory card.
I love it. You've brought out a few of those over the time. It's been great fun.
So, Greg, looking back on that, it was a time of caring and sharing on the New South Wales Computer Coordinator listserv, and more often than not, there was a little bit of whinging.
God, yes. I think a lot more whinging than sharing and caring sometimes.
What are your thoughts on that post, thinking back on it?
Well, the reality was that we had things that would be introduced to us that were mandated, and we all did it. But the reality was, it goes back to sort of the point that you made in there. It was teachers' input into how this operates in the school. And the whole idea was to come in and start looking at how we integrated into the teaching and learning into the technology. And that was basically the start. Karen had this vision, Chloe Reid as well. She was one of the main ones that had this, and her background wasn't education either, but it really came down to it. But she knew what was needed. And I think that made the difference, because we have the likes of yourself already, and
Carrie.
Carrie was here as well. And so when we came in here, we first started looking at, let's get into getting the ET for all servers into the secondary schools. But it very quickly didn't take long before I started playing in the room that we're in at the moment and got the toy room started up, which was looking at how do we get technology taken up and into the classroom, and how do we move away from just having computers, here they are, you work out how to use the things, to here's tech, it's a tool, how do we integrate it so that, God forbid me using that, get kids engaged into using it as well, but to make it that tool that enhances the education and the learning.
So that gets me into the next question there.
Yep.
You joined the T4L team right at the start of that. It was around, what, 2016, 2015, 20?
Oh, thereabouts, 14, 15, yeah, I can't remember. It's almost 10 years.
And it first started to grow into something that was a bit bigger than just a rollout of computers.
Exactly, yeah.
But it was a unique part of Information Technology Directorate, which was really
totally
all about,
new,
all about nuts and bolts, really, is what it used to be. Now it's all about how can we help to get those nuts and bolts working in the classroom properly.
Yeah.
If you look back on your days when you were in the classroom using tech, what are the big differences that you see today?
See, I got lucky because when I first started out, I'd started in computer coordinator roles back in the old Grantham, now Hills Sports High. That then I went off and did a computers in education degree at Western Sydney at the time because it was convenient. And even before I graduated, I picked up the head teacher's job at Pennant Hills High School. And I got lucky in both cases because basically it was bosses didn't know really a lot about tech. They had to rely on the people who thought they knew about tech. I dabbled and played, and from that last post was up till ridiculous hours just bringing myself up to speed, which all teachers that got involved in anything, it didn't have to be tech, it was just that when you found a niche area that you could see a passion for kids to sort of start learning better, you went in for it, boots and all. And so when I sort of got into that, started at one point in time, I'd spent a lot of time with getting stuff in at Pennant Hills. I had 13 servers at one point in time. We were ridiculous. Then Dave Millington, if he's listening to this, there's a real little anecdote I'll throw in later on about Dave and myself. But we were trying to get systems working. Before we had emails and everything else, we would implement it in here. Tracy Southern was in there at one point in time when she was doing the server stuff. We put her on the spot. So there's lots of really interesting stuff. But the big difference that I found I had to change, at some point in time I said, I don't want to keep just teching this, because all I am is a teacher that has a full-time job, got a bit of time off. I think it was 4 periods a week or something. What I need to do is start integrating tech into the classroom so that the teachers would get into it. So I started getting, how do you work at team teaching with teachers, bringing them in on board. They would come in and they would see things that you were doing and say, how come your kids never want to leave the classroom? And I said, because it's fun. And as much as you don't want to use that word with learning, when you're having fun and learning, you don't realise you're learning, but you're having fun and you just do it anyhow. And I've always advocated that, and tech makes learning fun.
And it sticks as well.
Oh, and yeah, you get that retention, which was the big thing. And I know Joe and myself were huge on that sort of thing. It was learn and make it fun, and you will remember it and then apply it to something else as well. So I started moving heavily away from the traditional computer coordinator role to what I thought was what it should be, which was integrating learning. And
it's almost like the DCO role.
Yeah, very much the DCO. And I did that very, very early on in the piece, and doing things like taking desks out of teachers' classrooms, and they hated me for a week because they'd sit there and ask me, well, where am I going to sit? And I'd go, exactly, and walk out. And they'd throw things at me. And then 2 weeks later, they said, best thing you've ever done. Because I'm now actually out with I did give them laptops.
Students,
They were getting back into it, which is part of what we're looking at with how we're sort of, and that model still exists, because we've got things that we're going to talk about a little bit that set that up as well. The way I think, and a lot of other people realise, learning should happen in the classroom. It should be a lot freer and open. Yeah.
So out of your entire experience with T4L these past nearly 10 years, what's the one thing that you could say you are most proud of?
Well, I can't do one thing. That's really, really hard. So I'll go through the list, and sort of there's a few people in here which are most important as well. Getting in here, doing the innovation, what's now the innovation.T4L stuff. Joe and myself came in and we saw that was, and one of the reasons I got brought in was my robotics background, especially with RoboCup, etc. I had a lot of this knowledge that I was doing as a third party, but then looking at how do we integrate this into schools and everything else. So the innovations team was put together, and that came out of basically Mark Greentree coming up with the name. And we started looking at what can we introduce into schools that would then enhance the education. It was robotics, it was microbits, it was so many things that really made it interesting. That developed then into probably one of the biggest, most proud of it, thought that the three of us, which was Joe, Mark and myself, was we developed the STEM.T4L, the old STEM shed. And that is a project that is just now massive. It went BAU quicker than anything in ever gone in at ITD. The fact that it gets out to virtually every school in the state, the kits even now are still fully booked every term. You talk to teachers and they'll multiple book, they want it, they're buying it. We brought it in. It was a totally different system. I was only just talking to somebody this morning about it, and they were saying to me, it doesn't work like that anywhere else. It was the one that made the difference, because then people would go, oh, this works. Right, now let's buy it. They could try before they buy. We did the road shows. We went to places like Broken Hill, Dubbo, Wilcannia Casino, Ulladulla, Bega, Coffs Harbour, everywhere across the state. We did a huge number of Ks and wore out a couple of eye-loads in the process. And then that sort of developed in with the road shows into sort of getting back the little computer coordinator days that we used to have years ago. It was called different thing, and I can't even remember what it was. Other things that I got involved with was the T4L trailers. So we used to tow them to the road shows because we had to take all of our kit with it.
And you were one of the few people that could drive it.
Yes, that's right.
With the trailer.
I remember doing, this is how you tow a trailer. And I flew all over the thing showing people how to use the trailers. And I'm sitting there going, God, they think I'm an expert. It was really weird. Screen sharing was another one. Now, the interesting thing is, and most people don't know, we started screen sharing as a project. You would remember that when Steve Glasgow and myself were playing here, and we were trying to get through. That was well before we had the power to really run it. And it didn't work then, but we're now at that stage. It's taken this many years for it to become something that kind of works. A big one that I was probably one of the main instigators and developers of was the MoCals and now the MLDs, which then ended up being rolled out heavily with the RAG, and now they're all available. One of my pet passions ended up being 3D printers. Didn't even know what the hell the things were when they first started off.
And now you're the print doctor.
And now I'm the print doctor and everything else. And the big one, I think that we've been able to make a big one is the Viva Hot Spots with Stu. Partners in crime here already, and it started off as a brekkie with the techie revival, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
With the guy that was out there, and we sort of went, what can we do? And we turned it into, and Stu's the best one with the name, so he developed hotspots and print doctor and everything else. So that's sort of just a very, very quick summary. I couldn't come up with one in there. There's probably an order, but really
Okay, so
things.
lots of things you're proud of. That's fantastic.
Yep.
What are you most happy about, would you say?
Happy about? It is actually an easy one. Working with an amazing group of like-minded people was, I think, the thing that made the difference. Luckily, Mark could see what Joe and I's visions were and went, yes, this will work. And Steve Lequette was in there as well and could see what Mark was pushing for, and we had it going there.
That's one of the best things when you've got a leader that trusts the people that are under them to do the right thing. And it makes it so much easier for everybody to get things done.
Because that's what we did. We just got things done, and virtually nothing was too difficult. We would just say, we want to do this scathingly brilliant Centrinians idea, and they'd look at us and go, do you think it'll work? We go,
or how you
well, it should. John was on the look at one another. We're going to make this work. And we would work out how it would work. And 99% of the time, we didn't have any problems with that. And it's just making tech work in schools was the biggest thing that we've, and helping out New South Wales teachers.
So after all this time working, I'm sure that you're going to miss something of it.
Yeah.
I know you're looking forward to something completely different, but what are you going to miss the most?
The people. There are a huge number of people that school people don't know run your system in the background. You're probably closer to your regional staff, which I've met some amazing people in all the regional areas. They are brilliant, that they are help. And to their credit, we thought that they wouldn't embrace our T4L ideals, yet they were on board better than probably anybody else. They were incredible the way they helped us out. And we have the teachers that I've worked with across the state, I'm in constant email, phone calls, ring us up all the time. Really good that they are just so passionate about what they want to do with their kids. And that's just teachers and the kids. And I think for myself, what I'll miss is being able to make a difference in this environment.
Well, there's a legacy. There's a massive legacy there. We've recorded together 100 and something shows.
14, about to go 15, isn't it? Yes.
Hotspots. And it's been fantastic working with you on that. And we've got that legacy. All those recordings are still up there, talking to so many amazing people from across New South Wales. Great hearing those stories. Now, okay, sadly for us, you are moving on, but exciting for you, it's to a new challenge. What can you tell us about your new challenge, and what parting words do you have for teachers and schools in New South Wales?
Well, the new challenge is I'm just going to try and retire. When it really comes
It's
out.
the second time, isn't it? Well, sort of,
yeah, because I retired from teaching when I was teaching, and then they decided they wanted me in here and said, we'll pay you money. And I went, huh? Okay, you're going to pay me? So I've been double dipping for a while and enjoying that side of things. And the other one's play a bit more golf. Is the one thing that I want to do. Probably do a little bit of travelling. I've got to wait for my wife to retire and then see what happens there. And the main thing that I would say to teachers across the state is keep thinking, keep looking, be enthusiastic, enjoy teaching your kids, because they are a stack of fun to play with. If you're not having fun teaching, then introduce them to tech and really put yourself in the deep end, because you'll love it, and the kids will love you for doing it.
I'll tell you what you've been a model of for everyone else to follow, and that's lifelong learning. You're not somebody who said, I've learned everything that I need to learn to do my job.
Yep.
You've just kept on and kept trying to challenge yourself with what is this new product? How can I incorporate this new product? What can I do with it? What are the benefits of it, and so on? And that's the sort of thinking that we need to push out to as many people as possible, because that's what's going to drive everybody forward.
Yeah, you've got to go boots and all into something and sort of learn it to a certain degree. And we've done that with all the videos and all the YouTube stuff that we've put together to help schools out. And
we've got teachers out. We've got teachers out there creating videos, creating all sorts of things that they never would have been doing in the past. become so easy to do. And when they're the ones that have got the knowledge and the talent to be able to.
Because they're jotting on the spots in their classrooms and it's working in those classrooms. We're doing it third party.
Yeah, all you're doing is using a different medium to deliver the same sort of things that you're.
I think the one big thing that I remember that I was hoping would be available for teachers is collaboration. We would sit in classrooms, staff rooms, developing our own programs, projects, etc. And I always used to sit there, why am I doing this, which I know my friend down the road and everybody else, we're all doing the same thing multiple times. Why are we doing this? Why aren't we inventing one or a couple of resources that we can share? The fact that we've got Teams, we've got Google Classroom, we've got these environments which allow us to do that now has made such a difference to teachers talking with teachers and helping each other.
And they can connect through things like Teams and Meet and all these different options that they've got to.
Various webinars that we've been able to run.
Nobody needs to be an island in their classroom anymore.
It is so good. And as much as COVID was a pain in the backside for us all, it really pushed a lot of people in over the edge and say, well, we've got to use tech. And they were scared, but they went, hang on, it's not that hard.
Greig, well, we've got one more show of Viva Hot Spots together.
It's Monday. Yep.
This coming Monday, and it's going to be with two more amazing DCOs that are going to be sharing their stories from two completely different parts of the state. And we'll be hearing some great things from them. But for me personally, it's been a fantastic journey. I've loved working with you, even from that point of having to answer that email back in 2002. I've learned a lot from you. I've seen some amazing new tech that you've brought into the department. None of that stuff would have happened without your influence. And thank you very much for sharing all of that. And I wish you absolutely all the best.
Thank you very much.
Going forward.
It's been really, really good.
All right, guys, that's the end of this special episode of Viva Hot Spots. We hope you can join us this coming Monday at 3:30 p.m. and we will see you then.
Say hello if I see you out there. Bye.